Hey YouTube, Rob the Movie Collector here again, doing another video for you. Today I'm actually doing something a little bit different. I'm not going to be talking about movies at all. You can probably tell by the title I've actually picked up myself a brand new console, which is the Nintendo Wii U from, Nintendo. Now a lot of people are going to be sort of saying, Rob, why didn't you buy an Xbox or a PS4? They're the best consoles. Why'd you pick up the crappy underpowered Wii U? Well, there are reasons for that. So I mean, I do agree that the PS4 and Xbox One are probably better physically or hardware wise, better consoles, more powerful and better graphics, and there are more sort of popular systems too, so probably the resale value is probably better on them, and they'd probably be the ones to get. But I mean, I'm not a huge sort of gamer. I mean, this is probably my first console, believe it or not, since I had a Sega Mega Drive back in the early or late 90s. I do actually own an Atari Lynx, if anyone remembers them, which is probably actually just, in some ways it's actually very similar to the Nintendo Wii here, with the same sort of controller. So I mean, I have never been sort of I was a sort of huge gamer back in the 90s when I had my Mega Drive, and but I've never sort of followed on from that. I never bought the the Sega Saturn or the PlayStation or Nintendo 64 or any of the other sort of consoles. I sort of went more sort of the PC route. I do remember sort of the time when the Sega Saturn came out, and I was sort of a huge Sega fanboy. I was always Sega man. I was never a Nintendo person. But I remember sort of having the choice of whether to buy a PC or buy the new Sega Saturn. And I remember just sort of going to one of my local shops and sort of looking at some footage, had like sort of demo of the Sega Saturn, and I just remember looking at the graphics, and the graphics were just absolutely terrible. I thought I was really shocked, and because I was a big sort of Sega fan, I definitely wanted to sort of pick one up and support Sega, but I just couldn't justify it because it was just really horrible looking graphics. So I did end up sort of getting the going down the PC route, which I've been doing for the last so many years, and I've never sort of been a huge gamer anyway. I mean, I do play a bit of Call of Duty occasionally, and but I'm probably more a fan of sort of old school games like point and click games and side-scrolling games and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm sort of a fan of technology and stuff like that. And I mean, I do own a computer. I mean, my computer's pretty much a high-end computer, and if I want to sort of play high-end Call of Duty and really sort of graphics intensive games, then I can just get it on my computer. So I don't necessarily need to buy one of the new Xboxes or PS4, because that's pretty much what they are. They're just sort of computers, basically cut down computers, basically. And they are nice systems. I mean, they do actually have a lot of great features and a lot of good looking games. But I've got the PC. I don't need to sort of I don't need to sort of buy another computer. If that sort of makes sense. And I mean, the other reason was, I have, as I said before, I was a sort of a big Sega fan, and you are either one or the other. You can't be both. Well, that's sort of the mentality, I suppose. So I never actually did. I mean, I did sort of play some of the Nintendo, the NES and the Super SNES and the Nintendo 64. I mean, and I always, being a Sega fanboy, I was, a supporter of Sonic. But to be honest, I always thought the Mario games were better games than Sonic. Even though I did sort of play a fair bit of Sonic, but I always loved playing Mario, and whenever I could, because I never actually sort of owned a console, but whenever I went to friends' places, I always used to play Mario because I thought that was great. And also the Mario Kart, I remember sort of I remember sort of playing that at friends' places, and I thought that was just an absolutely great game, Mario Kart. And I played a little bit of Donkey Kong as well, which I always thought was a fun-looking game as well, which I never sort of played that much, and always sort of felt I missed out in some ways on playing more of these games, more of the Mario games, and more of the Mario Karts and the Donkey Kong games, and which I can now with the Nintendo, because they're actually bringing out all those new, all those games again, in new sort of versions in the HD format. So that's another reason why I did sort of, pick up the Nintendo, so I can sort of, go back and, I don't know, in some ways just relive my childhood in some ways. And because as I said, I mean, I'm not going to buy the. I mean, you can buy, Call of Duty and some of the sort of big end games on the Nintendo, but I mean, I've got a PC for that, so I'm not going to bother with it. I'm just going to pretty much only going to buy sort of some of the more sort of simpler games, because I mean, I'm more of a, as I said before, I'm more of a sort of casual gamer, so I don't want to spend all this money on a PS4 or an Xbox, and because they are more expensive. I mean, the games are more expensive, and even the controllers are a lot more expensive too. I mean, it's about $100 for a controller, I think, with the PS4 or something like that, some of the wireless ones anyway. And whereas the Nintendo Wii's got cheaper games and cheaper controllers, and it just seems more of a sort of cheaper sort of system. I mean, I'm not going to probably, I might play the Nintendo Wii for a few months and then probably not play it for quite a while. So I mean, it's more of a casual thing for me. So I don't want to spend all this money on a high-end mini computer, I suppose if you can call it that, and never not necessarily sort of play it as much. So that's sort of basically perhaps sort of the reason why I sort of bought the Nintendo compared to buying one of the Xboxes or the PS4. I mean, I've only sort of had the console probably for a few days, and I've only sort of spent a few hours with it, and I have sort of bought a few games with it to play it, and I have sort of been playing a few of them, and trying out the console, and so I haven't necessarily had a sort of huge play with it yet, but so far I'm sort of quite enjoying it. Well, here's sort of the box for it, very similar to the Nintendo Wii console, except it's black, and this is actually a HD console now compared to just like standard definition. I think it was for the for the normal Wii. Also comes with the controller as well, which is I think a lot of people sort of misconception that this is actually the Nintendo Wii U, or this is which is not quite right. This is just more the actual controller. It comes with like a screen, because you can actually sort of play the game sort of either on your TV, or you can actually sort of play it on the handheld version as well, I suppose. It's kind of like a tablet, I suppose. So if you sort of want to, if someone wants to sort of use the TV, then you can just sort of, if halfway through playing a game and someone says they want to sort of, use the TV, you can just sort of, press the button and actually sort of continue on playing the game, which is a really cool feature, I think. And it's a really nice controller too. Like it's rather large, I suppose, but it's actually, quite well made, and reasonably light, so you can sort of play it in your hand for quite a few hours. So but I thought you did actually quite like the box. Actually, it was kind of really nice. I kind of like that image on the back there, nice sort of black and blue sort of image there. It's very cool. So that's sort of the box for it. So I did sort of buy a few games with it. I'll just sort of show you them. Came with Nintendo Land, which I haven't actually sort of played this one yet, actually. So I'll give that a bit of a play at some point. That sort of came with the console. Probably about one of the sort of the release titles, which was the Zombie U, which I've sort of been playing. This is probably the one probably the one I've sort of been playing the most, actually. Well, enjoying it. I'm still getting used to the controls on it though, because coming from a PC background with a mouse and keyboard, I think that's much better controls than trying to use a controller. It's a bit difficult, I think, really. But anyway, I suppose I'll get used to it though. It's just a sort of zombie sort of survival type game, and sort of uses the features of both the on-screen sort of controller. That sort of has the map on the controller while you're sort of looking at the screen and sort of walking around. And but yeah, it's a pretty good game. I'm still getting used to it, and it is actually quite hard in some spots. I keep sort of dying all the time, but it's not a bad game though. I've also got Injustice: Gods Among Us, which is kind of like a Street Fighter type game, I suppose. Sort of a beat 'em up type game. You can sort of play. I haven't had a huge go at it yet. But you can play as Superman, Batman, and the Joker, and a few of the other sort of characters as well. So just sort of beat 'em up type games, like a fighting game, I suppose. Not really a beat up, I suppose. But that's not bad as well. I'm just getting used to all the combos and trying to get all the controllers down. It's quite interesting. The last game I got is Darksiders 2, which I've played a little bit of, and I'm pretty sort of hopeless at it, I think. But it's not a bad game though. I've got it on easy, so I find it not that hard, I suppose. But good sort of fun game, that one. Yeah, so there's sort of the 4 games. I mean, yeah, I've only sort of played it for probably a few hours, really. I've had the console for a few days, but I've just been busy with other things, and I've only sort of managed probably to pay for 3 or 4 hours of it, I suppose. I'm pretty much enjoying it so far. There's a few little things probably that, negative things. It's got like there's no actual sort of LAN port on the actual console. It's sort of set up as wireless sort of internet connection, which is nothing wrong with that, I suppose, but I would prefer perhaps a LAN port. Because Wi-Fi can actually be a little bit, unreliable sometimes, and it does sort of slow down, especially when you've got to download a lot of things. When I did sort of turn the console on, I had to do a big sort of huge sort of update, which took about an hour and a half, and I'm sure that would have perhaps been a little bit quicker if I sort of had like a LAN port on the console. And you can sort of buy an attachment which just sort of plugs into the USB port, so you've got like a little LAN sort of connection on it. Which I might perhaps look into buying actually, because I reckon that might sort of speed up my downloads a lot better, I think. Sort of found perhaps the touchscreen's a little bit unresponsive sometimes. Sometimes you sort of press the on screen and it doesn't seem to register. But after perhaps a bit more use, I might sort of get used to that. I'm sure I might be a setting perhaps I can change as well, maybe to sort of make it a bit more responsive, maybe. Other thing too, I think it's got I think the controller only sort of lasts for about 4 or 5 hours. Then you got to sort of recharge it again, which is a bit of a pain, I suppose. But I can just sort of plug in the recharge socket, power connection all the time, which is not a problem, I suppose. Other thing too, I did read somewhere the battery itself only sort of lasts for around 500 charges, and I mean if you're playing it, the battery life only lasts for about I don't know 3 or 4 hours or whatever it is, and you've got to keep recharging it. 500 charges is not going to last you that long, I suppose. So I'm off to buy a new battery at some point, and I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be too expensive, hopefully. But I will perhaps be buying one of the sort of Pro controllers, which is just like one of the normal sort of controllers. It's kind of like an Xbox or a PS4 controller. So I don't really sort of need to use sort of the gamepad, because that can be a little bit sort of bulky, I suppose. And it's a nice controller though. It's kind of like a tablet and controller, and even like a TV remote as well, because you can sort of change channels on your TV with it, and change the inputs as well. So it's a really nice sort of controller. It just can be perhaps a little bit bulky though in your hand, which I felt a few hours of play, I think. So I have sort of bought just one of the normal sort of Pro controllers, so that they'll sort of be a bit more comfortable in my hands. Yeah, so I guess sort of final thoughts, I suppose, maybe on it. I mean, I do sort of realise that probably the Xbox or the PS4 probably would have been perhaps the better buy, the better system, better graphics. And but for me personally, I mean, as I said before, I'm only sort of a casual gamer, and so I don't need to sort of buy a really expensive console. I mean, I think I'm going to be more than happy with my Nintendo sort of playing some of the sort of more sort of simpler games, the Mario games, the Mario Karts, and Donkey Kong, and I reckon they're going to be a lot more fun. I mean, same way as the Nintendo Wii was. I mean, that's compared to like the Xbox 360 and the PS3. I mean, they were supposed to be better consoles, better hardware and stuff like that. But the Nintendo Wii, I think, sort of outsold them. I mean, it was, it's not necessarily all about the hardware and the grunt. It's more about the games themselves. And I mean, you also got the Nintendo store as well, so I can download some of the older games too. I mean, the Wii U console is actually backwards compatible with, you can play your old Wii games. You can, play some of the older Nintendo 64 games and DS games, and all from the the online stores. Whereas the PS4 and the new Xbox they can only play the new games on. They're not actually backwards compatible with PS3 games or the original Xbox games. So there's more games I think on the on the Wii U than there is actually on the new PS4 game or the Xbox. I mean, this is for for me, I think this is going to be perfectly fine, because I just want to play some of the more sort of simpler games, and I'm more of a casual gamer, so it's going to be better for me, I think. And I think in some ways it's a bit of a underrated console too. I mean, people I've sort of watched a lot of YouTube videos, and people that do actually sort of have the Wii U do actually sort of praise it a lot and think it's so do say it's a really great console. And the people that trash the console are actually ones that don't even own the console. I mean, I think they just sort of get this mentality of the system being underpowered, and so they just want to trash the Nintendo Wii. But I mean, it is actually a good console. I think it has problems, but so does the Sony's and Microsoft consoles as well. I mean, Nothing's sort of perfect, I don't think. Yeah, so I think that's my video. It's just sort of my thoughts on, sort of why I bought the Nintendo Wii U. And yeah, so thanks for watching. And I'll be back very soon with another video for it, I'm sure. So, but yeah, for now, bye.